Hello, everyone. Welcome to United Malayalam podcast, where we're discussing all things Man United. And today we have a very special guest with us. And he's also been in our show previously, discussing on transfers and various other news regarding Man United. And we welcome Phil Brown to our podcast, founder of Beyond the Pitch. And it's an amazing podcast platform where we listen to all kinds of news and some of his analysis regarding the club. It's amazing, and he's the biggest diehard Man United fan that I've ever seen, especially on social media. And he makes some sensible points as well when it comes to our football club. So, welcome, Phil. He's joining us from Los Angeles. So,
My,
it's a
my
pleasure to
pleasure.
have you on the show once again.
Thank you. That was extremely kind intro. My pleasure. Thanks for having me on, boys.
Yep. So let's start this podcast by going into the first question. So let's give it as a warm up. So Phil, how have you been enjoying this Man United season so far? Because at the start we didn't expect such a dominant start. We lost two games and then we came back well against Liverpool, and then we kept going slowly and we're progressing right now. So how are you feeling?
I mean, it's been fantastic since Brentford. It's hard to find many faults. I mean, since Brentford, Ten Hag's picked up more points than Guardiola. If they win at the weekend, they go above City. I think I would have taken that if you'd have offered me at the start of the season. So many things that we don't even see on the pitch that are being fixed off the pitch that are really encouraging for future success. So it's been fantastic.
Amazing. So now Krishnan will come with his next question. So yeah.
Okay, I expect, Phil, that you have read that James Decker article uh, in Telegraph uh, regarding the ownership that they will attain formal bids by mid-February, and the process they are aiming to conclude the process by first quarter or at latest April. So if a full takeover, that's what we are all are expecting, a full takeover. Actually, I think you were the first one to probably talk about a takeover long back, even before these things came to public. So if a full takeover occurs, do you expect the new owners to give the current sporting hierarchy, like John Buttag and Co, one like 1 or 2 years, or they will make immediate changes in that?
Sorry, Kristen, I didn't hear all that question, but I think I got most of it. Look,
Are,
I
are
think,
you able to hear?
yeah, I can hear you. Just the volume wasn't great on my end, but I got most of it. I think
Yeah,
if I
yeah.
don't answer something, let me know. Obviously, I think the new owners will come in and make changes. Especially, it all depends on what type of ownership that happens. If United end up being partially taken over by an investor, which I don't think will happen, then I don't think they'll make a lot of changes. I think they'll stick with the people that are in there because the Glazers will also want their people in there if it's a partial. But I don't think that will happen. I think that whoever takes over United or Liverpool has to deal with the same, well, has to address one of the main problems that both clubs are being sold, and that's can they financially compete with Manchester City and Newcastle? They're going to have to be able to. So I think, as you've seen with Chelsea, even Newcastle, once they buy these football clubs, they bring in their own people. So there'll be major changes at United once that takeover goes through. I would expect. I saw James Ducker's article in the Telegraph, um, which consistent with what I'm being told too. Is I expect that United will be sold by the end of the first quarter. Thereabouts. The fact that they will have been given a number of it. There's a number of people interested, but obviously that has to be whittled down to who's serious, who has the money. The Glazers will start at a really high price and have to come down. So what that tells me is that they already know more or less what they're going to get for the football club. When you're in that speculative period where you're inviting offers, the price hasn't been set because essentially an auction. Well, they probably know now how far they can, buyers are willing to go. They're under enormous pressure to get the football club sold. They don't have the resources to continue to own the football club. The United being still owned by the Glazers in the summer would be a big problem for them because the football club needs to spend big in the summer again, and they don't have the resources to do it. Beyond that, there's no financial incentive for the Glazers to continue to own the club because they can't get dividends out. So, my buyers know this, of course. So it's kind of calibrated between the desire from wanting the football club and making sure you don't don't lose it to somebody else, but also knowing that you don't want to overpay for an asset that's been sweated to the limit. So, but I would be very surprised if the Glazers still own that football club come the summer. Very surprised.
Okay. Following up that, like, I'm just asking, like, Erik Ten Hag is doing a really good job. And will the new owners will continue with him, or like is there will even him will be under pressure, or like will look after or
First, that I'm having a real hard time hearing you, buddy. Seems like there's an echo on the line. I didn't get the question. Sorry.
Yeah, 1 second. Anish, can you just mute from your side? Yeah. Now are you able to hear me?
That's a little better. Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm just asking about Erik Ten Hag. He's doing a really good job. So will the new owners come and they will look at him because he is a previous owners or previous regime's appointment. So will he be under pressure also?
No, because I mean, look, whoever comes into the football club knows one thing about the previous ownership didn't do, and that's they're going to develop a relationship with the fans. Erik Ten Hag's done an unbelievable job at United. He's very popular with the fans. He's already seen off Cristiano Ronaldo. He was unequivocally supported by United fans over someone who was extremely popular. So whoever buys a football club, he is an asset. So I don't see anything changing with him. I think whoever buys the club wouldn't be that stupid. So whatever happens, Ten Hag would be, and he quite rightly said himself when he was asked about the takeover, and he said he'd spoke about it with Richard Arnold, and it was all going to be positive in terms of investment options available to him. So. I don't. Whoever buys a football club, he would be under no more pressure than any other manager would be under.
Okay, Anish, you can go.
Okay. Mine is like, what are your thoughts in regards to a sovereign state ownership? Let's say about, we are hearing rumors about Dubai or Saudi or Qatar consortiums, or like, let's say about it's Saudi was interested to buy the club in 2018, I think. And there were some discussions happened and Glazers were reluctant to sell, but the current scenario, it's changed everything. Like you said, it's already, they have taken maximize the potential of the club and they needed to sell. So what's your thoughts on these Dubai or Qatar links?
Yeah. So I was talking to people involved in this process a couple of weeks ago, towards the end of December, and I was told back then, and I put this out there, that Beckham and the Qataris were really interested in United. Then, of course, the Qataris came out, I don't know, maybe a week ago, and said that they were interested in investing in a Premier League club. I have been told way back 6-7 weeks ago that there was interest from Dubai. There was interest from the UK outside of Jim Ratcliffe, and of course Americans are interested too. So I don't have a problem with it being someone from the Middle Eastern part of the world. My issue is the source of the money. If it comes from people that have acquired that money through human rights abuses and what have you, I don't want to see someone like that own Manchester United Football Club. that would be the case if it was someone from the UK. I want to be careful here because, you know, I don't want to be against someone just because they're from that part of the world, because that's racist. You know, there has to be a good reason to oppose somebody's ownership, and it's always about who they are rather than where they're from or anything. Because I even hear this about, oh, American owners, this. There's plenty of bad British owners, plenty of them. And there isn't a single idea that the Americans or anyone else around the world can impose upon the British. They have to adapt it. If they don't like it, they don't have to. They don't have to implement it. So you know, everything that they're doing is the result of European greed too. So I want to be careful, because it seems like a lot of foreign owners take grief in a way that domestic owners don't, which I think is unfair. So I don't really care where they're from. I just care about the type of human being that they are, and that they see. Goes back to what you were saying about what changes, you know, or anything. They have to run the football club consistent with the club's values. Otherwise, they're going to have a constant issue with the fans.
Yes, so Phil, I wanted to ask you a question regarding the minority stake ownership because I think 2 or 3 days back, Bloomberg Business had reported regarding the Qatari uh, owners trying to, have a minority stake or a trying for a full purchase of a Premier League club. But there are a lot of issues regarding UEFA and the licensing of the club, having two clubs that they own to be playing in the Champions League. And it's difficult. Something which only I think the Group have been able to do because they went through an application process and did something with the board of directors. So my question over here will be if, and it's a big if, since you stated earlier that a minority stake would be surprising, a minority ownership, because they will need a decision-making power when it comes to the ownership or any kind of controlling stake. So my question here is, um, if a minority stake happens, do you think how do you think will the decision making process take place, especially if the Glazers are still there at the club, and them being parasites, we know how irritating it is, and how long some of the decisions are taking place inside the football club. So what do you think when it comes to the power sharing, when it comes to the veto power in,
Yeah.
let's say, when it comes to the finances, especially we are going to trying to build a new stadium or trying to redevelop it to a bigger capacity. So what are your thoughts on this?
Well, a couple of things. First of all, the Glazers have been trying to sell Partial Investment United for years. They met with Apollo over a year ago to try to get money to buy out the rest of their siblings, and no one's been interested. Here's the thing: investment companies only invest in businesses where they can get a good return and they can get it quickly. Football's a really bad business for investors to invest in. So if you look at other investments, even bonds gives you a better yield. So investors aren't really interested in football clubs as an investment to get a return on it. There's an old saying in football: the quickest way to become a millionaire in football is to start as a billionaire. And so it's really not a good business. So if you look at how the Glazers acquired the football club, they bought a minority stake first, then launched a full takeover. That type of ownership model structure is quite common. No one's going to give the Glazers money for partial investment without a route to a full takeover. People do that when they want to get a closer look at a business to see where its weaknesses are, where they can, again, the type of people that do that are people that are looking at or how they can take a business over and maximize its profits if it's undervalued. That gives them a closer look under the hood, as you say. I don't see people that want to buy the football club outright from oil states and what have you really caring about that. So I don't think that will happen. I could see a situation where they invest partially with the view to taking over in a year or two. No one's going to invest in a football club this is going to eliminate a lot of potential buyers. With a return on investment perception and intention with the Glazers still involved in the football club. I mean, you'd have to be absolutely insane to do that when they're the most toxic element to the brand. So, where Glazers could get tricky is by selling to an American investment company at a lower acquisition cost and remaining involved in the peripheral. So they would still get cut to future revenues and what have you. Once the club gets taken private, they don't publish accounts. There's no way of knowing if that would be the case. So I can only see a full takeover, to be honest, boys.
Okay, so moving on. I hope I'm audible. Um, Phil, are you able to hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, it's a little hard, but go ahead, buddy.
Yeah. Okay. So moving on, I am just asking about we are supposed to in the summer market we are supposed to go for a striker, and also Ten Hag really wants a progressive midfielder, which he didn't get last summer because we were after Frank de Jong for so long and it didn't happen. So these are the two main position that we are looking to strengthen in the summer. So how like now we are bringing in Ward Weghorst as a non signing as a temporary solution till the end of the season. So how do you see like what is your opinion about these possible additions? Like will he be able to make those that striker signing and the midfielder signing? And if we are bringing in a striker, who do you think will best suit us? Like there are rumors to linking us to Kane, Oshiman, and even Sesko or Vlahovic, like all these players.
So I think a couple of things. I think first of all, if you look at the type of strikers that Ten Hag likes, he likes big, tall, central strikers. Weghorst is 6'6". Sesko is 6'6". Those are the types of players that he likes. You know, he played that way at Ajax. He's even taken McTominay and put him up front because of his size. You know, he's taking him on late in games. I think this is one of the things that Weghorst is going to give to United. He's going to give them that tactical diversity that they don't have at the moment. That allow them to change their game. He can also defend. So I think what they'll do in the summer is they'll look for a striker that has similar physical attributes than that. They still like Sesko. I know Sesko has a deal to go to Leipzig in the summer, but that deal could still be easily interrupted. It's not set in stone that he will go there, and United still like him. But again, it's all going to depend on what type of ownership they have come the end of the season. I do not see United going for Kane because one, I think Harry Kane's in his prime right now. I don't think United are going to spend that type of money on that player that, in my opinion, will go downhill for next. Will not be the player you've seen at Spurs. Might still get another 2 or 3 years out of him, but United will look for someone younger. So Osimhen would be in that discussion. So I think realistically for United, they still need another midfielder that's similar to Casemiro, so that when there's injuries, you need to rest them. You don't have massive drop off like you had against Charlton when Fred McTominay started. They're completely different players. That's obviously Van de Beek's out injured. United really need a midfielder in there. But I can only see United going for a big, tall striker this summer. Someone like Sesko.
Yeah. So a midfielder, maybe someone like Enzo Fernandez, or Enzo would be too pricey, or because if you are going for a big striker, that's almost our 80 billion or around 50 to 80 million. If you are budgeting for that, then do we have the like? It's as you said, it all depends on the new ownership.
Until United get new owners, speculating about this summer, if you look at their accounts, There's a football club in 2019 had 300 million cash in the bank, and I have 28 million. They don't make enough money to pay quarterly dividends of about 12 million. So, realistically, and Richard Arnold said this in his meeting last summer with the fans, there's money for this summer, and that's it. So, speculating about this summer in terms of big signings will not happen unless that football club is sold. I think it will be sold. But one of the things that does concern me a little bit, if you look at Chelsea when they were sold, they bring in these transfer gurus. And I really hope that Ten Hag's power doesn't get usurped and some idiot comes in and starts buying players above his head. This is where I worry about what would happen with Ten Hag. Not so much that expectation of him would change, just that the way the football club treats him will change. And I really hope that we don't get a Todd Bowley situation that you see at Chelsea happening in United.
And actually, you kind of break our AJ's Anish's heart by telling that you don't prefer Kane because he's a very keen, like well-wisher of Kane to United. He has been shipping that for some time. So I will just hand it over to you.
Thank you. Yeah, I always like the way Kane played at Tottenham, and big admirer of, yes, the big admirer of him. So my question is, even though yes, we discussed about Osimhen or Sesko, but my question is, will it be possible to get that deal done with Napoli? As we know that the president is more than Levy, that's what we can say about him. So, and Kane is going to enter his final year of contract in the summer, and there is a possibility of for a lower price we can get him. So, is there any chance in regards to that? If we are not getting our primed targets like Sesko or Osimhen, then is there any chance for Kane?
Well, it's definitely a chance. I mean, look, if he was available at the right price, and I've no doubt that United would be interested. But here's the thing about Kane. Kane is a very, very good player. But the way Ten Hag uses his strikers is very different. And so Ten Hag likes big, tall, physical players. Harry Kane is not that. He would definitely score goals at United. He would still get 20 plus goals, no doubt about it. But I just feel that if Ten Hag can go to the market with new owners where there's really no restrictions on who we can buy, I don't think they'll buy Harry Kane. I could be wrong on that, but I don't see United doing that.
Adding on to that, there is one more question I would like to ask in regards to today's article about saying we don't have, even the sale is gone through, we will not have a specified amount in terms of targets due to financial fair play. What do you think about that? Will it be, I mean, from an accounts perspective, I feel like it is more of not a clear picture in regards to the transfer allocation. What do you think about that in regards to amount? Was saying about the amount for the transfer budget?
Guys, listen. There's also other contingencies where we're going to finish. If they finish outside the top four, that would be an even bigger issue. United are close to $1 billion in debt. So the transfers that they spent this summer, they haven't even started paying it yet. It's going to be contingent on where they finish. It's going to be contingent on who they sell. Can they get money for Dean Henderson? Can they get money for Wan-Bissaka? One of the reasons why they were not really keen on selling Maguire in January is because the players that Ten Hag wants to replace Maguire with will cost a lot more than what they get from Maguire. So they're going to have a problem in the summer because they're going to have to sell Maguire and then replace him with someone that costs more. That's an issue. If they sell Wan-Bissaka, they'll have exactly the same problem. They need to do that. They've still got an issue with the goalkeeper, where they're going to have to get the hair on lower wages. They do need a forward. They need another midfielder at least. Garnacho's in the last year of his contract that needs to get renewed. So there's a lot of things that need done at the football club. Plus, you've got a stadium that needs built. Um, None of this will happen if United are still owned by the Glazers in the summer. I would be very, very concerned, not in terms of who they're going to sign, but whether the club can remain solvent, because that revenue, United's commercial revenue hasn't grown in 4 years. They just lost their biggest commercial asset. The sponsors want to leave. The shirts. The shirt sponsors aren't renewing. Chevy didn't want to renew. AON didn't want to renew. The guy that did the Chevy deal was fired a week and a half after doing the deal. And Team Viewer clearly see no dividend, and certainly they see it as a cost, and there's no potential return on that investment. Most people, when they're doing sponsorship, have a scaled return on investment. Why does this make sense? So we just give them money away. They don't see value in that deal. So for United, there's so many contingencies that based on whether they'll even remain solvent as a football club. I mean, what would have to happen? This is partly why they want to get the head wages done, is because the ratio of income to revenue or overhead to revenue is really poor. So this is a really concerning situation. This was always going to be how it was going to end. But United are squeezed. There's nothing left to squeeze out of them, and the football club badly needs to be sold so that it can do the bare minimum, never mind signings. But I think it will get sold, and I think United will spend quite heavily this summer. And I think we realistically, Manchester United should be winning the league title next season. I think that's a reasonable expectation of Ten Hag.
So Phil, quick question. So 2 days back, or I think yesterday, I really don't remember the correct time frame, but then Daily Mail's Mike Keegan had reported an exclusive regarding the stadium redevelopment plan. So it's either they gave in, they kind of audited and saw what happened, like how they estimated the budget which could go into the stadium redevelopment project. It's either a stadium that has to be built from the scratch outside Old Trafford, or they'll have to move on with a step-by-step procedure where they'll have to increase the capacity, which might be even more difficult because we'll have to rent a new ground to play more football matches, especially during Premier League and Champions League. So, what is your preference when it comes to stadium redevelopment? What do you think? What do you want the club to do if you were part of the board?
First of all,
Taking away the
I saw Mike put that article out. I didn't read it all, so I can't say whether there's exclusive information in there or not. What I did see is news that's been well known for quite a while. And of course, that's the price of redevelopment, whether that is a new stadium or whether that is expanding Old Trafford. Expanding Old Trafford's not easy. There's a railway right outside it. They don't own all the land outside it. But as a purist, as a traditionalist, I'd like to see them stay there. They've played at Old Trafford before when it was being redeveloped. I remember well, so it could be done. But yeah, I'd like to see some of that tradition remain rather than just get some, new massive stadium that's got comfortable seats that sells microbrewery. They're sort of all the same, aren't they? So I would like to see them stay at Old Trafford.
It's I would like to ask in terms of it's personal, obviously, about your prediction about our season. As you can see, about for the last 6 months or 5 months, how we played under Ten Hag and how much we developed as a team in the progressing way. So, what's your thoughts on our season or prediction in terms of the season? Are you considering us as the title challengers or contenders?
No, I don't think they're a serious threat to the title. But I think they will finish top four. I think they'll still be within single digits if whoever does win it. Whether it's Arsenal or City or whatever, I'd be surprised if Arsenal win it. Um, for example, I don't think United will lose this weekend. I don't know if they'll win, but I don't think they'll lose. That's I haven't had that confidence going into a derby in a long, long time. So I think there's enough from what I've seen in the first half of the season to make confident predictions about what they're going to do second half of the season because United's wins have been built off teamwork, they've been built off, tactics, they've been built off better coaching, better players, better everything. Those are sustainable metrics, not individual moments in a game where someone makes a mistake and they capitalize or they have a 10-minute spell in a game that allows them to win. That makes it very difficult to predict if that's going to continue because it's so off the cuff. But with United, with the reason why they're winning games right now is very, very encouraging. I think that no, Liverpool are not great, Chelsea aren't great, Spurs aren't great. I think we'll finish top four.
Adding into that, let me ask you one more question. It's like uh, understandable. We are playing top teams in the January or in the February or first week of March. We are going to play Chelsea. So if we are getting unscathed, it's privately my prediction. These people will be laughing at me. But if we are getting unscathed in February, January, and February, do you think there is a chance for us to push City or Arsenal into the,
Absolutely.
title race?
Look, United could go above City if they win this weekend. Whether they'll remain consistent enough to finish that way, I don't know. But I think I would make a prediction that Weghorst will come in and score more goals than Darwin Nunez second half of the season. So, I think they're certainly in with a shout. They've still got Arsenal to play. That's going to be a really difficult game if United were to go there and win, which they're capable of doing. Then all of a sudden the conversation changes. So is it realistic and fair to expect that? Probably not. But I think that for Ten Hag, he's done enough to get my confidence and whatever. If he finishes in the top three this season, I think he'll have done an outstanding job.
That was the predicted by
Yeah,
everyone,
if they give him a
apart
top
from
striker
me.
in January, if they give him a top striker in January that's capable of coming in and changing the season, then I would say, you know
Yes.
what, need to run me a show. There's two things that worry me. If Casemiro got injured,
Casemiro, yeah.
because that would have such a massive impact on the team, and I'm still a little concerned with up front.
That's my entire point of view to against what AJ was saying. I was saying, okay, like if we are in a 3 or 4 points in April or end of March, then okay, fine. Yeah, let's we can try. But apart from that, there is no point in thinking about this now because Casemiro and a striker, those two depth position we are entirely lacking. So if something fingers crossed nothing happens to Casemiro. But if Casemiro is not available for some game, then we will be struggling like hell because they don't have any to play that.
Yeah, even Christian Eriksen, he's also an important player for
Yeah,
us when it comes to in possession. So, yeah, I really hope these two players can uh, move forward to the end of the season with us.
Well, Van der Beek's injury is a big opportunity for Zidane Iqbal, young midfielders, Kobe Manu, because United will need to rest those players at some point. So I think if I'm Kobe Manu or if I'm young Iqbal, even possibly even Palestri, I'm thinking that this is my best opportunity to make myself a Manchester United player.
Adding into that, when you said about Zidane Iqbal or other player, my question is, what's your thoughts on Garnacho? How the way he is playing, and have you seen any comparison to any of our previous legendary players?
Look, he's an exceptional young player. He's very direct. He's very quick. He's old-fashioned winger. He is like an academy kid that's born to play for United. He's going to put enormous pressure on Jadon Sancho because Garnacho's changing games when he plays. So Jadon Sancho doesn't change games enough. If I'm Ten Hag and I've got 20 minutes to go in a game, do I bring on Garnacho or do I bring on Sancho? Right now, I bring on Garnacho because I'm more confident of Garnacho's direct running, his skill. He's going to either score, make something happen, a penalty. Garnacho scares me more in a game than Jadon Sancho. Jadon Sancho is an exceptional player, but we don't know what he is yet. If he's a midfielder, if he's a false nine, if he's a winger, he doesn't really have the pace to be a winger. He has the skill, but his 3 goals this season all came from central positions. So maybe he's more of a false nine player, which would help in some sense because when you want to rest Fernandez or you want to rest Eriksen, you could probably play Sancho in there. But for me, Garnacho is the most impressive young player I've seen come at United's academy in a long, long time. And, the United deserve a lot of credit for that because, it's John Murray deserves a lot of credit for getting that kid to the club. So very, very encouraging. And they need to get him on a long-term contract. I'm not concerned about attitude problems. I think that's stupid. He's a kid. I haven't seen anything that says an attitude problem. But yeah, look, if you can get a young player who comes off the bench that changes games immediately, they're gold dust.
Adding to that, Phil, actually, Ahmad is having a really good season in championship. Also, I think even Lyed is having a really good season. So, can we expect these loanies to come back and make the squad bigger for us, or fill those positions that we need? And also, I'm just adding, as you mentioned about Sancho, what is your take about Sancho? There is really some polar opinions about how the Sancho thing is going, how Eric Ten Hag has treated him, and I have even heard that we are paying him so he should play. So what do you really think about the Sanchez situation also?
So a couple of things. So look, Sancho is a human being, and clearly Jadon's problems extend beyond his football, and he's entitled to be a human being. He's entitled to be treated as one, and people have these ridiculous expectations that just because they're a footballer and they make a certain amount of money, they can't experience human problems. I sincerely hope that Jadon Sancho recovers. This football club is in the best position it's been in years to help its players mentally. It hasn't been in that position for a long time. So I think I'm very encouraged by the Manchester United that I see right now because I think this is a club that's set up to get the best out of people. So Jadon couldn't ask for a better manager and a better environment to find his form again. And so, I'm sorry, what was the other question?
Regarding Ahmad and
Ahmad, yeah. So Ahmad is doing really, really well. A bit of Jimmy Garner in the sense that one bad championship loan doesn't make a player. And when Jimmy went on loan to Swansea, it didn't work out. Went to Forest, it was brilliant for him. I think for young Ahmad, he plays in a position where there's availability for United. And I think it's better that he stays at Sunderland because of this, because this is the first run of consistent football he's had, consistently playing well in a good team, Sunderland in the top 6 in the Championship, at a big football club. Where there's expectation, where there's pressure to deliver. The second half of the season is going to be pressure on Ahmad to deliver and to try to get Sunderland up. That experience will be invaluable. I mean, the Championship is a brilliant league for young players to go on loan to, and he would get more from playing another 6 months at Sunderland and coming back and playing for United the next 6 months off the bench. They have Garnacho, they've got Palestri, they've got players they can bring off the bench and change the game in his position. So even Alanga, who obviously probably behind Garnacho anyway in terms of his in terms of his position for how the manager rates these players. But I would say that it's better for him to stay where he is, and it's great to see him doing so well.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for the detailing in regards to younger players, which is the tradition of ours about developing young players like Rashford or whoever we are looking at. Every season we will have a product from the academy. Thank you very much for and thank you. I think we are almost done for the day. Thank you very much for your time and personally from us and our viewers we are happy and thankful to have you in the board. Hopefully, in the near future, we will have a podcast with you soon. Thank you. And once again, thank you very much and wishing you all success in the future.
You too,
Thank
boy.
you.
Easy. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Bye bye.